everyone, I'm back from a short break, or not so short. It's been almost 2 weeks now, and as I was planning my break and my trip, I encountered certain fears and issues which I think are very relevant to people with TMS and which have to do with indecision. Okay, so I noticed that a lot of people with TMS suffer from indecision and thought that this would be the topic for this next video. So basically, we suffer from indecision because we are unable to own our decision because of fear, basically. So there are a lot of times when we want to do something, we want to change something, but our fear stops us from actually taking action and deciding to go ahead with it. And this could be anything from changing a situation that's not feeling so good, and to actually working on your chronic pain, because you are afraid of taking the decision and then taking the wrong decision and failing. Alright, so it's very relevant because indecision keeps a lot of people stuck in circumstances that they don't like, and it also keeps a lot of people feeling very unhappy and dissatisfied with themselves. So it creates a lot of internal rage, okay? So there's this feeling of stuckness, that there's a situation which you can't change. Maybe a part of you knows that you can do something, but you're too scared, okay? So that makes your inner child, let's say, and that desires change and desires more fulfillment and happiness, it makes this child really, really angry. And we know that internal anger is one of the causes of TMS pain, among other things. And I mentioned myself because this is an issue which sometimes I also suffer from, even though I don't have chronic pain anymore. But of course I still have that kind of TMS-y personality sometimes. And this came up to me when I was planning my trip. As you know, I mean, with COVID, planning a trip isn't so simple anymore. And having a lot of friends and family who have decided not to travel, whose fear, of course, of the virus is keeping them from doing certain things and is also influencing me. Me, myself, having my own fear, not wanting to risk things too much, of course, also made me a little bit hesitant. So there was this part of me who wanted to go for it because I knew that it was in alignment with what I wanted. I needed a break away in nature. I'd been dreaming of going to this place in Turkey to climb because it's an amazing location to climb. So on the one hand there was this urge for me to go, but on the other hand there was this fear, of course, of all the things that could happen, all the things that could go wrong. I mean, COVID was of course one of them, one major factor, and not just COVID, but also the fact that something might prevent me from going or might prevent me from coming back. I mean, in reality there always used to be these risks, okay? It's just that now we're even more aware of certain risks. And this, I noticed, it destroyed some of my excitement. It ruined some of my, happiness, because I couldn't properly look forward to my trip. And I knew that sometimes you can't plan. In fact, we had to cancel our last trip last minute. And basically, what ruled at that time was my fear of disappointment, my fear of not having full control over the situation, which are very, very TMS-y things. But also the indecision in the beginning, whether to go or not to go, whether to plan it or not to plan it, because on the one hand I wanted to do something, on the other hand I knew there was a risk that it might not go well at all. I mean, there is still a risk. I came back only 3 days ago, so yeah, who knows. And by this I don't mean that, that every one of you has to, risk COVID and go out traveling, but I'm just mentioning it as an example of how people like me, or people who tend to worry a little bit, may find themselves in a situation of indecision, because they know they want to do something, but at the same time they know all about the consequences and all about the things that can go wrong, and they keep thinking about all of the things that can go wrong and replaying them in their mind. Okay, and because of that, they might never take the decision, and this makes them feel stuck and helpless in a situation which they might not like, such as a job they might not like, or a relationship they might not like. Okay, and another thing I notice is because a lot of people, some people with TMS suffer from low self-worth. This low self-worth makes them more likely to doubt themselves and their power to decide. Okay, they don't trust themselves with decisions in life. They constantly doubt themselves. So this is also coming from the issue of low self-confidence for some people. Okay, they second doubt. So what can you do to overcome this? I mean, it's never simple, of course. And with every decision you take, it's always wise to weigh the pros and cons. But I'm just gonna make an analogy here, okay? Because it's important to always remember that our brains are programmed for safety. First and foremost, they're programmed for stability and sameness. They're not programmed for fulfillment or happiness. Okay, this goes back to our ancestors who had to survive, and they found that having the same role and being with the same tribe helped them survive longer. So it's important when we're deciding something to assess our fear levels and assess how justified our fear really is. Okay, because most of the time it's our primitive brain telling us to play things safe. And the analogy I wanted to make was this one. We all know of someone who's been in a relationship that wasn't at all good, maybe an abusive relationship. We all know that he or her took a long time to actually decide to break this relationship, because even though he or she knew that it was not at all a great situation to be in, this person was still afraid of what would happen if she decided to change. She might still have been afraid of loneliness, still might have been afraid of the confrontation, of all the things she or he had to go through. So, and then once this person actually broke off the relationship and started over a new life, this person might have told you, oh, why didn't I do that earlier? Okay? And this is just an analogy I wanted to make for you, to get you to think why you might not be changing something in your life, why you might be suffering from indecision right now. Is your fear justified? What are the risks? Are they really too bad if you didn't take the decision and these risks, these negative outcomes do happen? Okay, because in most cases when you've been feeling the urge and the need to change something, most probably that urge is justified. Okay, that's your guidance system telling you to change something. And just by doing that, you'll be one step closer to becoming free of chronic pain, because the pain is being caused by this internal anger and helplessness. Okay, so I hope you find that helpful. That's all for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.